welcome along to another episode of the Man Your Head podcast. On today's episode, we've got Pete from Show Me Your Warface. How are we doing, Pete?
Yeah, all good, thanks. How's yourself?
Really, really good. I've just been talking before we started recording. I've had a long day, but been out in the sun all day, so I've cooked a bit, but it was all right. I got done what I needed to get done, but it just took a bit longer.
Yeah, good on you. Good on you, mate.
So for the people that don't follow you on social media, Pete, do you want to just give everybody a little introduction to yourself?
Yeah, so obviously my name is Pete. I set up the social media side of things, Show Me Your Warface. The reason I called it that, because when I was in basic training, we had a corporal, which we used to call the Rottweiler, because he was proper in your face. And he always used to take us out on the field and do field craft and manoeuvres and all that sort of stuff. And he always used to sort of come into your face and say, "Show me your war face." Mm-hmm. So as a 17-year-old lad, you'd be screaming at each other. And it was because of that, I thought, actually, it's about people showing their faces, their true faces, and sharing their stories with mental health and all the rest of it, to try and almost inspire other people and make it normal for people to talk about their mental health issues.
Yeah.
And so I thought, yeah, that's something that used to happen in basic training when I joined the army, but also it's a good sort of title now to, for people to show themselves. And then following from that, I just wanted to share my story through YouTube. So I started sort of doing a series of episodes. It wasn't actually going to be about my military career. It was almost going to be about my life through childhood, joining the military, through the military career, and then work. But it sort of lent more towards the military side of things. But there are a few snippets in there, especially early on when I spoke about me and PTSD. There's quite a few bits in there that talk about PTSD and all the issues associated with that. It's quite interesting to look back on it, actually, because you can actually see how far you've come just in the way you're presenting yourself.
Yeah,
I look so tired on that first episode. I look so withdrawn and tired. And I look back on that and think I was in quite a low place then.
Yeah. You're using it as a bit of a therapy to get it off your chest and let other people know all about it. And look, I've been through this with these people, and this is what I'm doing now, and this is how I'm dealing with it, and this is how I'm coping with it.
That's what it's all about, and it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy to talk about certain situations. I had a chat at work today because Afghanistan came up, and I'm trying not to get too drawn into it because it brings up a whole host of emotions. But it's important that I do, because, like we previously mentioned, that if I can show people my war face and I can show people my issues and the mental health and the trauma that I've gone through, people might be able to resonate with that and go, I'm going to talk about this as well. I'm going to let this help me. And that's what it is about. It's to inspire others, but also give me a little bit of therapy to get it out there as well.
Yeah. Use it as a bit of, is it called cathartic? You find it quite cathartic to do it, and it makes it better. Oh yeah, and it's obviously a huge part of your life. How long were you in the military for?
I was in the military for 8 years, 96 to 2004. Sort of went on a couple of different tours. They call them exercises, but it's not like, doing 10 star jumps in the garden. It's an exercise is going out in the field, in the tanks or on foot. But when you go on tour, you'll go to, your Bosnias, your Kosovos, your Iraqs, your Afghanistans.
Yeah.
And they're more of an operational tour where obviously pressure's ramped up a little bit, and you tend to get involved with all sorts of things that can cause, people a lot of traumatic, experiences. So it's 8 years. I was ready to come out, but I've got to be honest, I missed it every day. Well, I still miss parts of it now, but I felt ready to come out. I felt like I'd done my bit. And then the whole story around leaving and everything else was, a whole another host of issues after that.
Well, that's what I was going to say to you. How did you find settling in from military life, joining at 16, 17 years old. So you hadn't really been in, I'm guessing you hadn't really been in the civilian work life before that, and then leaving the military service, and then you had to get used to the way of civilian life and not have everything so regimented and or as orderly as it was in the military. Was that a big step to change?
Huge, absolutely huge. I left the military on a Friday. I started work on the Monday.
Right.
And I went into construction.
Yeah.
And I'm a carpenter, but my first job in construction wasn't carpentry. It was sort of doing all the demo work, all the ripping out of the kitchens, knocking walls down. So it was work that I thought, it doesn't take a lot of brain power. I can just switch off.
Yeah.
Do a good job, get out, and get into the next property.
Yeah.
And it was all over sort of Nottingham, Mansfield area.
Okay.
Hundreds of houses. And on the Monday, I had my first run-in with a foreman.
Right.
I speak about it in one of my YouTube's episodes, actually, and I used to get so angry and so wound up that I'd give the foreman a piece of my mind, and sort of almost this attitude of, you don't know what I've been through.
Yeah.
But then I used to take it out on myself and my possessions. So I used to get in the back of the van and just smash the back of the van up. You're that coiled and compressed.
Yeah.
A tiny little thing. The foreman didn't particularly speak to me very nice, and I thought, hold on a minute, I've had people like that.
Yeah.
For the last 8 years in the military, I don't need that, and I just reacted.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was more of a you just thought it's who you were. You didn't realise you had a problem. You just thought, this is who I am now. So just get on with it. You sort of backed it off. And I used to do that twice a week. Just completely lose my head and take it out on my kit, really.
Yeah.
And verbalise it to other people. So
I suppose because you've had so many years being conditioned to things have got to be done this way, and if you don't like it, then there's consequence with it. And then if you're coming out of it into quote unquote normal world, and somebody doesn't understand what you're doing, and you've got everything, you've got your wits about you, and you know what you can do, but because you're not doing exactly how they want it, and they'll just come steamrolling in at you, and because you're I'm trying to word it without making you sound like aggressive. You know what I mean? It's because you've had so many years of having, right, action, go now, got to do this, and somebody's mucking and messing you around. It can wind you up very easily if you're so used to being right, go, and this bomb's coming in and screaming and shouting and mucking and messing you around, and you think, well, mate, you're a dick. But
the other thing that I sort of struggle with is somebody said to me, you've got to adapt quite quickly because civilian street is completely different. And you hear someone talk to you about it, but you don't actually realise how different it is.
Yeah.
When you're in the military, there's a lot of stuff that's taken care of you, like your food, accommodation, money. You don't have to think about mortgages. You don't have to think about going out and doing your shopping. And all that all those little bits and pieces. And then all of a sudden you're out there and you're like, I think about bills and rent and supermarkets, which are a whole host of triggers in a supermarket, and all these little things.
That you don't realise.
You're just not prepared for it.
I did a lot of work on MOD work, and we were building on Project SLAM, which stood for Single Living Accommodation Modernisation. So we got to use the canteens and things like that on the bases, and I'd sometimes sit and speak to some of the officers that were there, and they were going on saying that soldiers get their food subsidised, PAYE system, and he says, come 3 weeks into the month, some of them have run out of money for it because they don't understand that they need to make that money last all month, because they think, I'll just get it paid for. And I suppose if they're in that mindset and they come out and then you think, shit, I've got to pay all my bills and I've got to make sure that this money lasts, and there's no top up system, and there's no going to the canteen and buying your breakfast for 88p. It was great, you know.
Yeah.
I was feeding myself for the week for 16 quid. I was getting 3 full meals every single day for 16 quid, and I loved it.
The that side of things, and it is quite a funny thing, but there's no real education about it. I mean, people say, oh, you should know about those things, but you sort of don't. If you've been in the military that amount of time, you know, or slightly less or more or whatever, and you've not actually looked into those things, and then you've almost got to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And there's no real education when you come out to sort of adapt to those little things. And like I say, I can remember the first time I went in the supermarket when I left the army. Jesus Christ, you know, I'm like rocking. Do you know what I mean? I'm that frustrated with all these little triggers, and a lot of people that I found just weren't a team.
Yeah.
And or a community. There's a lot of people that are selfish, and it took me a long time to realise actually that there's not that many people that are helpful or want to be part of the community or a team, the bigger community and the bigger team. There's people that will do bits and bobs for each other, but collectively as a big community, and I just couldn't fathom it at the time. I just couldn't get my head around it, and it used to cause me sleepless nights and all sorts, you know. But
yeah, I'd never thought of it that way, because you're used to such an environment where everybody relies on everybody, and if one person comes, then everybody's got to fill that gap, and it can be a huge thing. Whereas modern day life, everybody's screw you, I'm all right, I'll look after myself. And that I can imagine that can be very, very frustrating, and you wanted to scream and shout to say, come on, we're in this together, let's get this sorted, when they don't really care about, I'm going to go for a brew now. I've not finished. I'm just going to go for a brew. Yeah.
It escalates, and what you end up doing, or what I did, and I think a lot of ex-forces do going into all different industries, is they almost detach themselves from people and become so isolated, which is then things become, you know, the drink, potentially the drugs, all the other addictions start being the way to cope then, rather than actually talking to people. You don't actually think people understand or want to understand, so you distance yourself, and it just becomes this whole vicious circle. It's only really sort of the last 3 years that I've really started to accept that I needed help properly, you know, from, you know, counselors, therapists, but also actually think there's people out there who are in the same situation. You know, there's people in there that have had so many, you know, different mental health issues, and they're trying to help people like yourself and other people. And it's about listening to them and taking bits of advice and trying to put them into your own sort of mindset and try and adapt, and create your own community and team.
Finding the right people to surround yourself with, and it's so much easier when people get you, and you might say the simplest thing that somebody who doesn't understand it might think, what's he going on about? But if you're surrounded by the right people, and they turn around to go, I know what you're feeling, I know what you're going through, I get what you're trying to say, it's so much better. And it makes you, well, for me anyway, I get I guess it's more relaxed and understanding, and then I don't get angry with other stuff, and then it allows me to focus my mind, and I'm a lot clearer on what I need to do. And then in my day job, since I've started doing all the mental health stuff a few years ago, every year on year, I feel like I am getting better. Things are a lot easier. The simplest things that used to wind me up, like today, I had to cut mitre some brick to get it to work, and I kept cutting it not quite right, and it didn't look right. A few years ago, I would have lost my head, thrown the trowel and the brick and gone, somebody else can do it. Whereas now, like, go and have a cup of tea, come back, think about it, and do it. And I did it. And nobody will probably ever notice why it took me 2 hours to do these 4 cuts to get these corner bricks. But the point is, because I'm now at a stage where I understand it, I'm surrounding myself with the right people like you, Peter, that will lift you up and give you the advice. And I know that if a frustrating day that I can flick you a message and we can have a quick 5-minute chat, done. And that I've vented that bit of shit that's floating around my head and it's gone. it's so much better when you get the right people around
you. It is, and I also think that it doesn't necessarily have to be anyone that you see day to day, or it might just be someone through a social media account that you can go, if you got a minute.
Yeah.
They're just gonna, and I always think that, and I talk to my partner about this a lot. Sometimes it's actually good just to sit and listen to a person.
Yeah.
Just let them talk, and then just sort of reassure them.
Yeah.
Just say it'll be all right.
Yeah.
And that's it. Sometimes that's huge. I've noticed, especially with a lot of my family, there's some people who, well, everyone likes to tell what's going on in their own lives. And you notice like Christmases and stuff, because I live away from, my family live in Leicester, I live in Gloucester. So when I go across, sometimes they're all intertwined in their own lives and I'm a bit separate. So when I'm talking, everyone's like, oh yeah, and I've done this and done that.
Yeah.
And you're like, you just want to go, we just listen to what I got to say. It don't matter. It doesn't bother me anymore. It used to bother me because I just think, I'm trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
Just have a listen.
Yeah. It's
try and do that to other people as well that just want to talk about something.
Yeah.
Sit and listen to it. And you can actually learn a lot about people by
doing it. You can. And it allows you to have the two-way conversation and let them get it off the chest. And that's what, a lot of the time when the lads come and see me at work, don't give them any special advice or any wisdom or anything like that. A lot of the time I'm just there to listen. Yeah. And it makes it so much better. And like you say, it can be a lot easier to, when there's that disconnect from people. So I don't know what's going on in your home life or anything like that, but you could talk to me about something that's frustrating you. And then as soon as we finish messaging or voice notes or whatever, phone calls, done, dealt with. You don't have to talk to me till the next time we talk to each other.
It's huge. And obviously people use messenger, different messenger services now as well. And I think for a stranger, it's a lot easier to maybe send a message.
Yeah.
There was a guy at work actually that he's had a tough time over the years for very different reasons. And I put a post on social media that he's seen, and he messaged me and just said, I might need your help. So I just sort of said, I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
He uploaded in a message, and I just sort of said, look after yourself. You're the most important person. And he was just like, thanks for that. I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Just those little things. It's massive. And I think that's what mental health is. It's just it's having a community, and it's making sure that we just listen to people and reassuring them and not judging them.
Yeah.
And this is what my journey is all about. And hopefully that message that I'm getting across via social media is that, that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we spoke a little bit about your early military career, and you now said that you're a joiner now. So when you left the military, you moved on to demo work and rip out and things like that, and you progressed onto a joiner then.
Yeah, so I was like site carpenter. So I was fitting kitchens and second fix items and stuff like that, doing loads of that all over Nottingham and Mansfield. But again, because I wasn't really, I'll just go in this sort of 2-year cycle, where every 2 years I'd completely sort of try and reinvent myself. So it'd be split up with missus, move house, move to a completely different area, find a new job, find a new partner, find somewhere else to live. And that went on for about 10 years. Every 2 years, it's obviously there's something in my head that I wasn't dealing with. Every 2 years, I felt like I had to completely start again. And I think a lot of it was escape. And I'm a lot better at that now, but I still struggle with the day to day because I'm sort of really sort of drawn to just having some variation in my day to day now.
Yeah.
And it's finally I'm starting to listen to what I need, not just go, it's a job and it's a wage. I'm thinking, what do I need?
Yeah.
And teaching's great, but there's a side of teaching, all the politics and everything, that isn't so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a carpenter for a few years, then I moved down south to Chichester, Had a couple of years there. Sold my house in Leicester, made about 25 grand profit. Went to Chichester and had 6 months of partying.
Right.
Spent the 25 grand, having a good time.
Yeah.
Realised I better get a job. So there was a teaching job, teaching carpentry. So I went into that. Wasn't ready for it or prepared for it at all. I was there 12 months, completely just lost my head with it. Then I moved to Derbyshire, and I was doing a bit of part-time assessing, part-time teaching on the tools. I just couldn't get
you
my
couldn't
angle.
Focus on what you wanted to do.
Then I moved. Where else did I moved back to Leicester? Moved to loads of different house sharing and God knows what. And then moved to Northampton for a couple of years, and then live in Gloucester. We've been here about 7 years now. So I'm slowly getting there.
So do you think was this all before you started? Well, yeah, it must have been before you were realizing that you needed a little bit of help with your mental health. Do you think you were trying to run away from it? Yeah,
I was trying to escape.
Yeah.
I had counselling some years ago, but to be honest, I wasn't in the right headspace. I went to CBT, and there was a really nice lady there, and she was trying to sort of coach me to talk about certain things, and I was just of the attitude, I'm all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just in the wrong sort of mindset. I'd not accepted that I needed help at that time. So I was quite dismissive. And it's only like you say, since I came to Gloucester, and my brother actually said to me, he turned around to me and said to me after I'd had a bit of an episode, he'd never seen me like that. And he sort of said, go and get some help.
Yeah.
And the day after, my dad rang me, and we're not particularly close, me and my dad, but he rang me and he just sort of said, Joe's told me what's happened, go and get some help. And it was enough for me to go, if I'm pushing people away that I'm close to, there's a problem and I need to sort it out. So that's where I've slowly, over the last sort of 3 years, slowly sorted to go on this bit of a journey with it.
So, I mean, that's amazing work from yourself, and it's great acceptance that you realise that, you know what, I do need it. Because you're fortunate to have a good family around you that will tell you that, because some people turn around and think, don't talk to Pete, he'll lose his head with you, and I can't be bothered dealing with him. I'm not going to bother ringing him up to come out or have a day trip out or whatever it might be. You could end up isolating yourself purely because you're not understanding what you're going through, and not knowing that you need that little bit of help. And you've recognised that you were fortunate to have a great family and friends around you, and when they've said that to you, you've recognised it as well. So you must have been getting to a point where you think, you know what, there is something, and I need to change. So that's great work on your part.
The one thing I've learned from it is when you're in that sort of mindset of no one understands, what you've been through, which is in your head, and nobody cares about you, nobody wants to talk to you, so you almost withdraw yourself and isolate yourself, because you think nobody gives a shit about you, basically. And that's where the depression comes in, and like I said before, the drink, and I didn't go down the drugs route, which I'm pleased about, but many do. And you become so withdrawn from it that it just escalates and escalates to a point where the dark thoughts and everything get involved. But what I do know now is people do care. Because since I've been on this journey, and there's some old friends, have messaged me saying, I didn't realise what you're going through, because I didn't talk, I didn't open up, I just closed myself. And they were like, I didn't realise, why didn't you talk to me? I'm here for you. I was there for you. Just, you need to try and make a step, and use your friends and your family to talk to, use a stranger to talk to, whatever it is. So they are there. Some of them just maybe not aware of what's going on. And it takes a lot of courage. You've got to be quite brave to actually get to that point where you go, I want to tell you what I'm going through.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the hardest. I always say to people, look, taking that first step is the hardest step, but no matter how down and how dark you feel, it always gets better, and it can only go up. It might take you a long time, and you might dip and ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But you will get to a point where you are happy in your life and understanding it. It'll probably never ever go away, but you can learn to deal with it. And
That's it.
When you do get those, when you start to recognize the feelings that you're getting and you can react to it. So it might blip, but it might only be a little blip rather than days, weeks, months, or whatever it might be.
No, 100% right. Definitely. It's about learning and educating how you work as an individual, how your brain works, what causes reactions, how can you, I've really tried to work on being calmer.
Yeah. And since you got a diagnosis, was it easier for you to understand, to think, that's why I feel like that, that's why I do that, that's why I've been like this for so long?
In a way, it made me understand triggers better. So why am I getting so wound up about something that somebody might think, why is he getting wound up about that for?
Yeah.
And it can be, some of my triggers are the most tiniest of things. Something like my partner puts the shoes on the floor, but she always puts the shoes opposite. You know what I mean? Rather than left then right, it's right then left. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's little thing, it's tiny little things. Or at work, if somebody's put a chisel upside down, or they've not cleaned up properly, or whatever, you can feel these emotions in your body. But now you're learning, because you're educating yourself and you're listening to people and you're sort of researching and getting that knowledge on board, you're learning actually how to deal with these feelings and go, doesn't actually matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's there's bigger things going on, and when you get to those, so say you've had a frustrating day in the classroom teaching pain in the ass teenagers, and they're leaving shit everywhere, and the chisels are all upside down, screws everywhere, and there's no hand tools being put away properly. Do you have like any coping mechanisms that you use within the day to, like with me, if I get frustrated or if I get overwhelmed by everybody wanting me now, phone going, emails going, people coming in my office, people nagging me when I'm out on site, I'll go and do a meaningless task. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll go and sweep up, and it allows me to do a task where I can see I've achieved something by sweeping up a shitty area, but I can do it without thinking, and it like allows my mind to reset and rejig itself and rest. More than anything, I think it's allowing my mind to rest, because if you think about it, if you're doing bicep curls constantly all day, your biceps are going to get tired, aren't they? Your brain's just the same, and it's just a huge complex muscle. So if I can do a task like that, I can achieve something.
I'm quite similar, at work, again, I'll just go and do something mundane. I'll go and put something away, or normally when I get home, especially if you've had a day that's been a tough day with 20 apprentices or whatever, and you've had them 9 till 5, and it's been a long, relentless day. You're looking forward to getting home, but you walk through the front door and, I don't know, there's a couple of glasses on the side or whatever. What I tend to do is, rather than react and go straight in, all I do is, I've got this routine. We've got a dog, get the rubber brush out, run it round the floor, have a wipe round, open the back door, get some fresh air, and then that's the way I can decompress a little bit. And then if I'm still feeling tense, I'll get myself out for a walk, or a run, or whatever it is. And in the day at work as well, on your lunch break, go and sit out at the back and get some fresh air, eat your sandwich or whatever in the fresh air. Not surround yourself with loads of people, just have a person or a couple of people, or on your own, and just take that 5 minutes to breathe and just put it in perspective. Does it really matter? I'm letting it impact me. The other people involved in this aren't bothered. It's impacting me, so just sort of let go of it a bit.
And that's, it's taken you a few years to get to that point, but you've got there. So if there is anybody listening and thinking, I can't control myself, it takes time and it takes a lot of energy, but you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I left the army in 2004, and it's only probably the last 3 years that I've really started to really sort of think about things and educate myself and all the rest of it. So it's been a long time, and like you say, you don't think you can get better, but as soon as you accept the help, you can. You're right, and it's a strong message, isn't it? You can get better. There's just those first few steps that you need to take, which are bloody hard, but the courage and the bravery, definitely, that's if you can find that from somewhere.
Yeah.
I believe that everyone can not cure themselves, but just take those positive steps to actually have a bit of fulfillment.
Yeah. Because not everybody needs therapy, like you were saying, right? Earlier on when we were talking, that therapy didn't work for you, or CBT didn't work for you. But now, maybe if you went back to it because you are in a different frame of mind, it would probably resonate with you, and it probably help with you.
Yeah, definitely.
A bit more. But people could be thinking that I don't need therapy, I don't need that, I don't whatever. But if you, again, surround yourself with similar people like yourself, Pete, that have been there, done that, and look what you can achieve.
Yeah.
They can then see that. Do you think age plays a lot in it as well, getting older, a bit more mature?
I think it does. I think age definitely comes into it. And obviously there's I mean, I've not got kids, but all my family have got kids and all my friends have got kids. And I think, I've got younger brothers as well. And it's amazing, but also quite a pressurized, stressful environment for those people. So if you're stressed at work and then you're coming home and you've got the kids and, got all those things coming on, that's why, like we just said, I think it's so important that you take, in any day of the week, take a bit of time out for yourself, even if it's 5 minutes. And for me, one of the biggest things for me personally, and I think I'd recommend anybody do it, even if someone doesn't like going outside, just getting that fresh air. I said to somebody messaged me on Instagram the other day, and they said, I need to go for a walk, so it's going to start raining. And I said, get a rain jacket on, go walking in the woods, and I tell you what, you'll feel 1,000 times better, because you can just stand under a tree and just
sit and listen, or stand and listen.
Yeah, and not all of it, but some of it just drops off you a bit, and you go, I'm a little bit more content now.
Yeah.
And it sounds mad because 3 years ago I wouldn't have been talking like this, but it's almost quite spiritual as well.
Yeah.
We've got a local hill to us. In the summer holidays, I sort of said, I'm going to go up and watch the sunrise. So up I went, a couple of miles up with my backpack, flask of coffee, and on the top was a load of wild horses. And I was sat there on the bench, cup of coffee, watching the sun come up, and these two foals came over, like literally like nudging me and trying to drink my coffee. And it's just, you almost get this emotion over you, and you think, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I'd recommend that to absolutely anybody. Take that bit of time just to go into the outdoors, get the fresh air, and it helps. Again, just putting things in perspective.
It allows you to decompress everything that you've been dealing with that day and thinking through, or that week or whatever it might be, and it allows you to put everything into perspective. And walking or running or exercise might not be for that everybody, but there's definitely something out there. Baking, sewing, cleaning, car washing, whatever it might be. Driving.
You don't even have to. You don't even have to go for a big walk. It could be literally go and sit on a bench on the park for 20 minutes.
Yeah, people watch.
And like you say, anything, absolutely anything. But if you can find something that calms you, that just makes you feel, safe.
Yeah.
Then do it regular, because I think it's important to do that. Definitely, 100%. And going back to your point earlier, actually, I think it's good doing those tedious tasks that you can just achieve something and go, I've just achieved that.
Yeah.
Rather than getting so, it's amazing, because I tell the apprentices it all the time. Forget the end point, work on those achievable targets to get to that point, and focus on that. Sometimes I hear myself speaking and think, I need to take that advice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that, and I use the same analogy with the bricklayers at work, with the apprentice bricklayers at work, because they could see all the guys that have been doing it years and years and years, and they're smashing big figures and things like that, and earning loads of money. And they think, why can't I do that? I'm like, well, they've got all however many years experience. They were at your point, at your skill level at one point, and just take it course by course by course. Because sometimes they can get, if they give it Billy Big Balls, they'll go, right, if you want to do some big boy work, I'll give you some big boy work to do. And I'll give them a big run of block work or brickwork, and they might go, oh shit, this is too big, this. But I say to them, look, just take it one course at a time. Don't think about the bigger thing, bigger picture. One course at a time, and before you know it, block work, you're 8 courses up, and you're done. You finished that bit. And it can be.
We're always trying to slow apprentices down.
Yeah.
Just say, look, get it right, get the quality right.
Yeah.
It's not all about, fitting 10 doors or whatever, and they're all average. Fit 2, 3, or 4 good quality.
Yeah.
If your speed will come over time, and there's a lot. There's a thing called an endpoint assessment now with a lot of the apprenticeships, and it involves a load of core behaviours.
Yeah.
Some of the core behaviours is things like effective communication, adaptability, teamwork, independent learning, and it's things you can apply to everyday life. And some of the behaviours, you think to yourself, this is actually you could look at your life and put these in some sort of perspective.
Yeah.
And try and follow them as best you can, and you won't go far wrong.
No.
We're sort of telling the learners that all the time, use these every day.
Yeah.
Communication, I mean, it's probably the number one thing for me.
Yeah.
In relationships, in work, you name it. You've got to have good effective communication.
Yeah. And it allows you to understand what's going on and everything around you. And then you won't get wound up by the little things if you think, well, you never told me that was going to happen, or I didn't know that was coming up, or whatever it might be. It makes life so much easier for yourself, and that's what it's all about. Because there's that much going on in life, you don't need it.
And if you're in a position where, because obviously we're talking really positively, but there might be someone listening that's not in a great place and thinking, well, I can't do any of that. I think another bit of advice, and you'd probably agree, is write things down. Somebody said to me that was in a dark place, got in touch with me, and they said they sing.
Yeah.
They just sing how they're feeling. And I was like, record it.
Yeah.
And listen to it back. And you can start learning about yourself and some of the things that cause you triggers. Writing as well, doodling. I mean, I don't know whether yourself, but I can remember when I was in a dark place, I just got a pad and I was doodling, and I look back on it and I'm almost like blown away at what I've written down, but I needed to get that emotion out. Some people say at night, put a notepad next to your bed, or talk to your phone, record it on your phone, so you can listen back to it and try and understand your behaviours and things like that. It's I'd always recommend that if you feel that you can't talk because you're not in that moment, try and get your emotions out somehow, because I always think that helps.
I say to people about like journaling and things like that, and I say to them, you don't have to write an essay. You can just write, had 2 phone calls today. And then the next day it could be 2 phone calls and I made a coffee. And it starts and builds from there. And like you were saying about your videos on your YouTube page, Pete, that where you can see the journey that you've come on to get to where you are now. And that journey is going to keep going and keep growing, and you're going to keep progressing. But it's little steps make huge changes. And if somebody who's listening to this and you are in a dark place, then small little steps, go at your pace and do what you think helps you. I used to, like when I was probably at my worst point, I used to fidget a lot, like pen and things like that, and looking and messing about and up down fidget. Whereas now, although I do fidget a little bit because I do Tom's head in when I'm fidgeting all the time, but I tend to sit a lot better. My concentration's a lot better, and I take things in because I haven't got shit churning around in my head and thinking, I need to deal with this and I need to deal with that. Why is that happening? Why is that not happening? Whatever else might be going on. It allows me to be a lot more free now and concentrate on what I need to concentrate and not be distracted by what else is going on around me.
Yeah, and it's like you said before, it's not a quick fix, and there's going to be times where you'll dip and you'll get angry or emotional or whatever. I mean, I'm probably more emotional now than I've ever been.
Yeah.
You know, things will really get to me. I'll see, especially with animals and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I live like around quite a scenic area, a lot of forest and stuff, and I see something and I'm like, poor animals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm so much more emotional now than I was. Like, again, going back to the military, you were sort of taught to be odd and, you know, soldier first and all, you know, be all these things for all these different people. Like when, you know, when you go into Iraq and Kosovo and places like that, I felt that you're almost serving the community and you're trying to, my job, I felt, was to try and improve their life.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some testing things, but you're always trying to serve other people. So sometimes, you know, I'll be walking along, I'll be uptown, and I've done it recently where I've just gone and sort of stood against the wall and I've had a tear in my eye because I've just remembered something.
Yeah.
And that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's okay to do that. You know, you can't, it's like I say, it's not a quick fix, and you're better, and you've got to accept that sometimes there's going to be moments that you think about the past and it's hurtful and you get upset and you get a bit depressed, but then it's like you said about making them steps, how you can then control that, get out of that.
Yeah. Do you think a few years ago that would have turned into anger?
Yeah, see, I'd get angry a lot. I'm not going to lie.
Do you think you'd get angry at yourself for getting upset and getting a bit emotional, thinking, I don't need to be like this because I'm a man, I'm a soldier, I'm meant to be hard and not show these emotions, when really you need to? Because I say a lot to people that if you imagine you kept filling a Coke bottle up, kept shaking it and shaking it and shaking it, and it's filling more and more and more with gas, it's going to get to a point where it's going to explode. And I think if you were like you were saying before, you were out in town, you're walking down the road and you remember something, you got upset by it, you accepted it, and you let those emotions come out however they come out. So instead of pushing it down and bottling it up and getting angry with yourself, it's there, you've dealt with it in that moment and it's past, and it allows you to get on with it. Whereas, do you think a few years ago you would have just got angry and lashed out or done whatever?
Yeah, exactly that. Like I can remember when I'd not left the army long, I'd gone into Leicester City Centre, and I was in the shopping centre, and there was a flickering light, and it was, you know, it was getting in my head, and I was like, I don't like this. And then there was a lady with a shopping trolley in front of me, an oldish lady in front of me, and I was like, excuse me. She obviously short of hearing, couldn't get past her, and this light's flickering, and it felt like an hour. It was probably like a minute.
Yeah.
And this is how angry I used to get. I grabbed the trolley and threw it across the hall.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, not straight away, but later on the line, I'd feel guilty. I'm like, what? Why am I doing that? That poor lady, you know. And I'd express those emotions like straight away, like raw emotion, and a lot of it resulted in being angry, pushing people away because of it. But then as soon as you can start to try and accept that that's not a natural behavior and it's not healthy for you as a person, try and, like you say, learn some strategies to say, like we said earlier, take that bit of space. The light's getting to me, the person in front's getting to me. I'm just going to go down that aisle and I'm just going to go and do something where it gives me that bit of headspace to sort of just go, doesn't matter. It's not worth, because all you end up doing is putting your head in. I mean, your head's sort of pounding after.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel tired, you feel emotionally, you feel physically tired, you feel sick, you know, and you're putting yourself through all of this strain, and obviously you're pushing other people away as well, and you don't need to.
Yeah.
So give yourself that bit of space. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey, really, and quite refreshing. And a couple of mates that I see now and again, they said to me, you're doing really well. They said, you're annoyingly positive. And I was like, you know what, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that, because, you know, there's times where I've certainly not been positive at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you still get the bad days. We all do. And that's just part of the journey.
Yeah, that's it. and community. That's my next sort of big project that I'm pushing towards. So I set up a local community walk. So every Thursday night, I've sort of put it on the local Facebook group, set up a little show me a mental health page on Facebook, and it's just about attracting people. I started off calling it sort of a mental health walk, and then I thought that might put people off, because people, as soon as people hear mental health, especially men, they go, I want to go talking about my mental health.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, it's a community group now. So we go for a walk wherever, for a walk and a talk. We'll take a flask, we'll stop in the woods. Everyone just, how's your day getting on? How's things? This, that, and the other. And we sort of get between 6 to 8 people every week now, sort of grown from like 1 to 2. And I came up with this other idea. I was like, we could do a charity event.
Yeah.
So I've approached the local council. We've got a little local lake around us, and one of the laps of the lake is 3/4 of a kilometre. So it was like, right, got all that community on board. We went to the pub afterwards, had a pint, sat down, said, oh, let's try and raise some money for a hospice, raise mental health awareness.
Yeah.
Make a pledge to do so many laps of the lake, 12, 25, 50, 75 or 100 laps.
Yeah.
And make a day of it. And I was really reluctant. And then I thought, sorry, I'm going to ring the council. And the lady was a breath of fresh air. She was like, this is fantastic. It's real close to my heart. So that's the next project, just getting a community.
Amazing.
Of people locally to help each other without them even realising,
Yeah.
And I know there's a few other guys that I follow actually are doing similar things. And I'm like, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
That's my next sort of project.
It's all about raising awareness and coming together and helping each other out, and you're doing an amazing job of it, and you can be super proud of yourself. And again, it's another milestone to look back at when you've done that, and you a year will go by and you think, did that a year ago, look how much more we've achieved to get to where we are today. So great work, Pete. It's really, really good. You should be very proud of yourself.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's not many people that tell you that, so I appreciate that. And actually, it just shows you the journey that you can go on, from standing on a motorway bridge, contemplating jumping off, to talking how I am now, positively, and about education and coping and all the rest of it within 3 years, which seems a long time, but it's not. It's huge. So if I can do it, 100%, there's people there that can do it.
Absolutely.
Just need a bit of help.
And
we're here to help them.
This is it. And it like you say, 3 years does feel like a long time, but it's not in the grand scheme of things. It's not, and it goes so quick. And when the positivity builds, it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. And before you know it, you're looking back at 3 years and you think, shit, I'm doing this. This is really me. I'm doing it.
Yeah. And it's about those goals, isn't it? It's all right, my dog's sitting at my feet. I was going to knock my tripod in a minute. I talk about goals a lot, because we talk about that in my job all the time. Set yourself targets and goals, and it doesn't have to be a massive goal. Climb Kilimanjaro. It might be walk to the corner.
Yeah.
It might be get out of bed, like I said earlier, make a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just get there. And you start achieving little things. So then you go, what have you done today? Well, I've achieved that, and achieved that.
Yeah.
And you feel good about it. You're like, right, tomorrow I'm going to try and achieve this as well.
Yeah.
And then it, like I say, escalates, and it becomes a positive rather than something that seems a million miles away.
And if you do start doing it and you do slip a little bit, don't beat yourself up about it. Just, right, okay, that's happened. Can't change it. Let's deal with it. Get back on the road to where we want to be, because positive mindset produces positive thoughts produces positive actions, and it all starts with a little, I got out of bed today, I made my bed today, I got up, I made my bed today, and I had a coffee, and I made my lunch or whatever, instead of buying junk food or ding meals. And again, it all feeds each other, and it's just the beginning is the very, very hardest part of it, but it's like anything. Once you get going at it, it becomes second nature, and it's really, really good and really fulfilling to achieve these little things.
I think another thing that's quite good, and this won't come straight away, is you start using your own experience trying to help other people. That then I think to myself, well, there's a lot of people in my life, throughout my life, and it might be your grandma that you've not seen for 2 years or whatever. Check in with these people. Like, you know, I'd not seen my grandma for a few years because obviously she lives far away and all the rest of it. And then one day I thought, I'm going to see if she's all right. So I'm going to send her a text.
Yeah.
And she rang my mum. My mum rang me and says, "Oh, grandma," she said, "You text her?" And yeah. She's like, "Oh, she's made her day."
Yeah.
And like old friends, how you keep it?
Yeah.
And then they come back to you and you go, "Yeah, I'm seeing if other people are all right now."
Yeah, yeah.
It makes me feel good because I'm making an effort to check in with other people, and they appreciate that because it doesn't happen enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I always thought that was a good positive thing as well. It's just checking with people that you've not necessarily spoke to in a while.
Yeah.
How are you keeping? You know, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
My grandma texts me back every time now. Brilliant.
So, great work for getting your gran to text as well. Cause...
Yeah, like, she loves it. She's like, "Oh, Peter's texted me, sent me a photo of him being away in Scotland and all this sort of stuff."
Yeah.
Great. It's doesn't matter who it is, but yeah, just get a few messages out there. I know sometimes people will say to pick up the phone, but some people aren't people that like to call. And I think a little text actually can, you know, make the difference from going, "Oh, I'm thinking about them," but "Oh, they've actually thought about me." You know what I mean? So,
yeah, and it allows them to respond in their own time and their own way.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you could go back in time to, I guess you were about 25 when you came out of the army.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, what would you say to 25-year-old Pete if you could go back in time and speak to him now?
I'd say don't rush straight into work because you're worried about money, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Use the time in the military to really work out what you think you want, what makes you happy, what pushes your buttons, what you're passionate about. Don't just go into something because somebody's offered you a job and you think you should do it because you need some money. I would probably say education. So get yourself into a community, a club, a course where you can integrate into society a bit better and learn things. And it doesn't matter whether it's an awareness course or a diploma it doesn't have to be a 3-year course or anything. It could just be something simple where you're just slowly integrating yourself into a different mindset. And the other one is try and make sure you've got a community around you. So that might be family, it might be friends, it might be work colleagues, it might be lads or girls that you're in the military with or at a job with or whatever. Make sure you've got a few people around you that you've almost said to them, "If I need you, can I contact you?" Yeah, no problem. So you've got that bit of you know in the back of your head, if you're struggling, you can go, "I can phone Rob."
Yeah.
You know, day or night, and he'll pick up the phone or he'll text me back. You know, and yeah, don't rush into it. Make sure you look after yourself and you're giving yourself the best chance to achieve in a completely different job, and not rush decisions just based on the pressures of mortgages, bills, and all the rest of it. Not always that easy, but I rushed into it, and I saw the signs very quickly that I was not in the right place, and I think many do. But if you can distance from that and just think, what makes me happy, what am I passionate about, what do I want to do, you know, and it might just be something simple like working outdoors. I love working out.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do a MPTC chainsaw course. You know, I'm going to do some ropes course or whatever.
Yeah.
And look at doing that because that fulfills you as a person rather than going, I'm going to smash a load of kitchens up you know, in Mansfield, where I'm not really sort of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's probably the best bit of advice. And also remember that there's people there that are there for you, and it's very easy to go down that sort of rabbit hole where you just think nobody cares. You've got to try and have people that you can talk to and turn to almost prep that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tricky one. It is tricky. I think military needs to do more. So my dog's trying to push me out of the way. Like, he wants to come on. Should be
make a guest appearance.
Yeah, but he's and get a dog.
Yeah.
Tell you what, they'll sort you out.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
They'll show you raw emotion, and you know, there's been many times I've been in tears because my dog's been scared of me or cowered away from me, and that's not nice, and that puts things in perspective very quickly.
Yeah.
And the good mates stick by you,
and they always seem to know what you need as well before you need it as well.
He's brilliant giving you space.
Yeah,
he can almost, and I think a lot of dogs are the same, they almost read your body language.
Yeah,
probably read the tone in your voice, and he'll just go off and he'll give you the space. But then he'll pop his head in the door and you'll go, come on mate, and he'll come in and he'll give you a cuddle.
Yeah.
And you know, it's real basic, but it's a powerful thing as well if you've got that little companion next to you.
Yeah. They don't have to be sat in your lap. They can be just sat in the same room as you and just know that they're there. Yeah.
So get a dog, go for a walk. Brilliant.
Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself. Yeah. It's good therapy, definitely. 100%.
Pete, the chat's been great. Sorry it's taken so long, but we're so busy at the minute.
No, you're grafting, mate. So that's totally appreciate that. That's fine. It's been great talking to you, though. Really enjoyed it.
And where can people find you on the socials?
So Instagram, it's show_me warface. Then YouTube is show me warface. But I'm normally, because it's quite, YouTube's huge, isn't it? So the link bio on my Instagram page if people want to listen to. And do you know what? It's been really refreshing because when I first started it, I thought, do you know what? If I get one person I would listen, that's great.
Yeah.
Because it might resonate with somebody. But I'm up to 67 subscribers.
Amazing.
You know, people are watching some videos, and I'm like, people have got in touch off the back of the videos saying to help me understand my partner's, issues and things like that. That's what it's about. And people can always get in touch with me. You know, I've always said, like, I've just recently done a mental health first aid course. You know, I'm happy for anybody to get in touch and offload and meet, give them a bit of reassurance, non-judgmental reassurance, and so get involved, have a look.
And if they're in the Gloucestershire area, they can meet up for your walks.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Forest of Dean, we go over there quite a bit. Local walks, get involved, go for a walk, have a chat, bit of coffee, normally take a few biscuits as well. Yeah,
maybe you could do a bake-off.
Getting a bit carried away now, yeah. I'll give it a go. Yeah, I'll give it a go. I might ask Louise to do it though. She's better with that sort of thing than I am.
just bring a tin of burnt biscuits that you try and make.
I normally just take some custard creams or something like that. Hobnobs. They always go down well.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Pete. It's been great talking to you, and I'm sure there's definitely going to be more stuff we'll do together on Instagram, or even another one of these further down the line. Have like a catch-up progression, see where you're up to. Yeah,
that'd be brilliant. Yeah, I mean, thanks for everything that you're doing, because it certainly helped me listen to some of the way you speak and present yourself and everything else, and it's straight talking as well, and it's it's nice and refreshing, and I think you're helping so many, inspiring so many. So, like you said to me earlier, you should be proud of what you've achieved as well. So, I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot. It's difficult taking compliments, isn't it? Sometimes
it is really difficult, but I think we've got to take them as much as we can, really, because it don't happen a lot, does it? So,
no, it doesn't. No.
So no, it's good stuff. And the community is starting to feel like a good community now, I think, and people are looking out for each other a lot. So it's only going to grow, I think.
Absolutely. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Andrew, mate.
So thank you to everybody for listening today, and please like, share, and subscribe to anybody you think might need to listen to this episode or one of our previous episodes. And if anybody's got anything they'd like us to discuss on an episode, let us know. Send us a message. So Pete, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, mate. Take care.